Hey, ESPN, I'm Jack.
And I'm Miles from the Daily Zeitgeist, a daily comedic news podcast that answers the question,
what if Stephen A. Smith spoke at a normal volume and his opinions were based on fact and not completely insane? This probably isn't the best way to describe this.
No, you just negated the two things Stephen A. Smith is known for.
Okay, what if The Daily Show was hosted by us?
Yes, but who is us?
Okay, I'm Jack. I'm the co-founder of Crack.com.
And I'm Miles. I love soccer and get very nervous when I'm pulled over by the police.
He's also a former lobbyist who quit politics for comedy.
Yeah. Well, look, we covered news, the president, pop culture, and we're both very big sports fans.
I'm actually named after my grandfather, legendary NBA coach and ESPN alum Dr. Jack Ramsey.
Oh, yeah? Well, I'm named after Miles Davis, the legendary heroin addict who is not my grandfather.
So search the Daily Zeitgeist. If you don't know how to spell zeitgeist, like most of us, just type in Daily Z. It'll figure it out for you. On Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever fine podcasts are given away for free.
And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head to death. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood.
Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Now give me your boom.
He is Jalen Rose.
What up, though?
I'm David Jacoby.
And on the cool
we
check-in.
are Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio. What do we do?
We get the people what they want.
It's a great idea. The people want drama. The people have drama. LeBron James has had his first losing month on the NBA in over a decade. They lost to the hapless Mavericks. LeBron went on a little rampage. He started at Charles Barkley. Here's what he had to say. Quote, I'm not going to let him disrespect my legacy like that. I'm not the one who threw somebody through a window. I never spit on a kid. I never had unpaid debt in Las Vegas. I never said I'm not a role model. I never showed up at All-Star Weekend on Sunday because I was in Vegas all weekend partying. All I've done my entire career is represent the NBA the right way. 14 years, never got in trouble, respected the game. Print that. What is he trying to do?
I don't like this for the NBA family. And if you're a member of the media, you should really not like this on a few different levels.
I enjoyed this.
One, Charles was alluding to something that happened on wax, things that are taking place as it relates to the Cleveland Cavaliers. LeBron James was talking about things that are actually personal, which is way different when you address these two instances. When you put the overtone out there that the only time somebody could possibly criticize you is if they have as many rings as you have, or as if they've accomplished what you've accomplished. If that's the case, then nobody be ever to talk about players at all. And so that's a slippery slope that not only probably is taking place in sports, but we've seen it take place in our presidential election. And so it's really important for members of the media to continue to have their strong opinions, let them be heard, not back down from them, and articulate them the best they can. Charles Barkley, as LeBron noted, is on TV. That means he's getting paid to say his actual opinion. So I understand his frustration if he took it personal, some of the name calling. And I've talked about this in doing this job for a really long time. There's a difference between giving analysis and throwing slander. And that's when you start to name call and disrespect the people that you're actually being paid to cover.
Now, Charles Barkley has also appeared on ESPN Radio on the Waddle and Sylvie show, and he said some things in regards to LeBron's comments about him. He said that he doesn't want to get personal, but then he called him whiny. Why do you think he did that?
There are two ways for me to view this. There's the analyst who was talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers and their basketball team, which leads to their star player, LeBron James. And a lot of times media members use names to describe players, which can be offensive, something that I've talked about in this business for years. But LeBron's attack in response, that was personal. So as somebody that's a part of the NBA family, plus the media, I don't like it for either side for various reasons.
One of the more interesting things that Charles Barkley said is he didn't know the term Google. He was like, what is it when you look someone up on the internet? Do you think that Charles Barkley doesn't know what Google means?
Where's LL?
So you think that Charles Barkley should be free to say whatever he wants about anybody because that's what he does. He's on television. But shouldn't LeBron James be free to respond as honestly as he wants?
Absolutely. But I would have liked to see that response happen in a basketball context. Maybe talk about the fact that, hey, Charles, you tried to be on a super team in Houston, but it didn't work out. More in a basketball connotation than a personal connotation.
He did have one observation with a basketball connotation to it, which I think is being overlooked, which is pretty interesting. And it's about Charles's belief about how everyone is so friendly in the NBA and has ruined the competitiveness of the league. Here's what LeBron said, quote, "Go watch the 93 finals when John Paxson hit the shot. Barkley and Jordan were laughing and joking with each other during one of the games while somebody's shooting a free throw in the finals. But nobody were friends back then." Does LeBron have a point? Players were just as friendly back in the day as they are now?
Well, that's a snapshot moment. And he and Michael Jordan were best of friends at that time, just like Dwayne Wade and LeBron James are best of friends. Just like Isaiah Thomas and Magic Johnson were best of friends. The game was just different because you could have a physical intimidation. So while the Magic and Isaiah friendship could be at half court before the tip-off, kiss one another on the cheek, when the ball got tossed up, you could physically see them impose their will to try to win the game. Now that you can't really have the contact that you used to can have, the freedom of movement, the game isn't as physical. Flagrant 1s and 2s are different. Fine system is different. Injections are different. You can't pose your physical will on your opponent. So it just looks a lot different today when guys are fraternizing because they can't go out and actually physically dominate one another.
At the end of all this, as if he didn't sign off strong enough when he said, print that. I love that, print that. He said this at the end of all of it. And this is painted in a really nice picture on ESPN.com. He puts on his baseball cap, gives one look and says this: "I'm tired of biting my tongue. There's a new sheriff in town." And kind of like you said, he should have kept it in a basketball connotation, or, Charles is on TV. Of course, he's going to have his feelings about opinions about everything. He's saying, I'm tired of biting my tongue. I'm going to ether everybody that comes after me. There's a new sheriff in town. What will happen next?
I like the aggressive LeBron. I like when it started in the NBA Finals, really. And I think him imposing his will ultimately is what led to the Cleveland Cavaliers winning the championship. But as fellow NBA family and as somebody that has a tremendous respect for the media, you go down a slippery slope when you start taking shots at people's personal lives. And I think LeBron, who's always handled himself with class, I agree with him, has never had any issues, has been a model NBA player, as well as a philanthropic contributor to society, has been a family man for public consumption, a son, a husband, a dad. He embodies what an NBA superstar should be. And I just hope he continues to stay above the fray, because that's what makes him special, is that we're beneath him. He doesn't hear our noise because he's the great LeBron James that's a 4-time MVP and a 3-time NBA champion.
You know when it's a lot easier to ignore what people are saying about you on television? When you're winning. How much of this is just that the Cavs aren't playing that well? How much of this is just man, we lost to the Mavs and now I'm tired of this. I'm just gonna ether everybody.
Yeah, it does. It's the first losing month that LeBron James has had in almost a decade. So not only did he lash out at Charles Barkley, he basically was talking about ownership and how they need to find ways to get another playmaker. And lo and behold, they listen to LeBron. They're working out players now. So I guess his voice is being heard.
They are working out some players. They're working out a gentleman by the name of Kirk Heinrich, a gentleman by the name of Mario Chalmers, and they are working out the 8th grader, Lance Stevenson. Of course they're going to sign Lance. That's exactly what LeBron was talking about when he meant a playmaker. He meant Lance Stevenson, someone that can come in and play wing and spell LeBron's minutes, someone that can get his own shot, someone that can make plays forever for others, someone that plays defense. This is exactly what the Cavs need. Why haven't they signed Lance Stevenson already?
And the maturation of LeBron continued to show that level of responsibility is when he ignored Dan Gilbert's letter to go back to Cleveland. So just like he found a way to forgive Lance Stevenson, hopefully he and Charles can find a way to see eye to eye again.
Someone I don't think Charles will ever see eye to eye again with, a gentleman by the name of Charles Oakley. Just looking for any opportunity to diss Charles Barkley. Here's what Oakley tweeted. I love everything LeBron James said about the hater. He needs to stop drinking at work. TNT, can I stop by and get a drink? Question for you. If they drink at work at TNT, why are we still at ESPN?
I spent time with Big Bro Oak at the finals. And for those that don't know, he's actually a really good cook. You see him out there on the floor, and you see him flagrant fouling players and being physically intimidating. He actually can throw down in the kitchen. But with that being said, he's from Cleveland. He wears it on his heart and on his sleeve. He loves LeBron. He roots for the Cavs. I can't say I'm surprised to see that tweet.
Now, LeBron had a tweet of his own, and he's back to his cryptic tweeting. Here's what he wrote. Quote, sometimes I just got to make sure that I didn't lose you. Did I? Did I? Did I lose you? What does that mean?
He lost me on that one.
Yeah, I think he lost me on that one, too. Mr. Rose, Derek Fisher used to be the head coach of the Knicks, used to be the point guard for the Lakers, used to be the point guard for various other teams, including the Thunder. But right now he's got some time on his hands, and with some of that time, he did an interview with Bleacher Report. In that interview, here's what he had to say about the Knicks. Quote, we were able to take a team that wasn't as talented as the team they have now, and we were much better and much further along than this group is that they have now. What? Do you agree with Mr. Fisher and his assessment of the Knicks then and now?
It was a different job. I think at that point he was charged with not only changing a culture of a team that in theory hasn't consistently made it to the playoffs, but it was Carmelo and a core group of young players. And they were charged to get better each day.
Yep.
The charge for this group is to make the playoffs as they add Derrick Rose, Joakim Noah, Courtney Lee. So it's a different job. I wouldn't necessarily say he did better or worse because what he was asked to do is a lot different in theory than what Jeff Hornacek is asked to do.
I'm going to relate it to dating. Just because your ex-girlfriend has a new boyfriend that is terrible doesn't make you a better boyfriend. Does that make sense? It's like if you were a bad boyfriend and then she broke up with you and got a really bad boyfriend, that doesn't make you a good boyfriend. Just keep that in mind, Mr. Fisher. In related news, here's what else Mr. Fisher had to say about how people will perceive him. Quote, if the worst thing someone has to say about me is that I'm now going out with a woman who used to be married to this guy I worked with for a year 6 years ago, then I'm cool with that. Do you agree with Mr. Fisher?
Well, he's in love, and that's his mate. And as they've endured all of the turbulence privately and publicly, it's up to us now to fall back and let them be happy. And whatever issues that he has with Matt Barnes, for me, that's now personal because they've seemed to endure.
Well, that wasn't the only reason that Derek Fisher was in the news. There was this report that on Monday morning, around 7:30, Derek Fisher left his house. 7:30 in the morning, perhaps a workout, maybe he had some errands to run. Pretty early to get out of the house, but good for him. Comes back approximately 3 hours later and finds that he has had $300,000 worth of jewelry stolen from his home. What? Now, one might say, that's a lot of money for jewelry for a gentleman. Well, that included his 5 NBA championship rings. What? Is Matt Barnes a suspect?
No way. They had a game last night.
Oh, okay. Is that the perfect alibi, though?
That's the only alibi he needs.
Okay. So Matt Barnes is not a suspect. But let me say this.
And we're not going to put this on Matt Barnes because Matt Barnes got other legal issues he's dealing with right now.
I don't think Matt Barnes is involved in this whatsoever. But let me say this. If you now are in possession of Derek Fisher's 5 championship rings, how would you turn that into cash?
I'm not sure. It's pretty tough. You can't take it to a pawn shop. You can't sell them.
You can't put it on eBay like I've got Derek Fisher's 5 championship rings.
I think the only thing that you have on your side is time. So probably just hold on to them for a really long time. And then see how you can find a way to parlay them.
One of the most terrifying aspects is whoever did this probably sat there and watched Derek Fisher's house and watched him leave and then entered. And that is just terrifying that people would do that.
Well,
I hope he recovers
the unfortunate
his
thing about break-ins is usually somebody that's been to your house or knows somebody that's been there.
That's just foul. Well, I hope the people get caught and I hope he gets his stuff back, especially the championship rings. If you were Derek Fisher, would you replace the championship rings with replicas if you do not get them back?
No, not at all. I think he'd replace them with the real thing.
Oh, that's fair. So there's a lot of turmoil in Chicago. It's been discussed. We all know what's happening there. And Jimmy Butler's in the middle of all of it. There's sort of this turmoil. The front office is not sure if Jimmy Butler is the franchise player that they want to build around. Do you think all of this could potentially rekindle a Butler to Boston trade?
It shouldn't, because on paper, I don't think Boston has anything to give them in return, not named Isaiah Thomas.
Brooklyn picks, tons of Brooklyn picks, their own picks, young players. They've got some stuff they could put together a package.
You know the thing that the Chicago Bulls have on their team?
Young players.
A lot of good young players.
That's fair.
The problem is Mirotic, McDermott, Bobby Portis, Valentine, they haven't become that knockout prospect that could become running mate of Jimmy Butler, so they went out and got an older Dwayne Wade and an older Rajon Rondo to play on the perimeter with him. Jimmy Butler is a terrific young player. You don't just trade him unless you're getting a player that's going to play in this year's All-Star game.
I don't see any players like that that are going to be available for trade. Kevin Love for Jimmy Butler? Sorry. Celtics coach Brad Stevens reportedly would embrace coaching Carmelo Anthony, but Danny Ainge has rejected any potential deal. We've heard that both the Celtics and the Cavs do not want Carmelo. Is this just posturing? Is it possible that Carmelo could go to Boston?
The thing about the Carmelo trade is he is in charge of where he goes. And so with the right deal, would the Cavs take him? Would the Celtics take him? Of course they would. They just probably don't want to mortgage more than they think is enough to get that value in return. But he's still a terrific scorer. You've seen him putting up big numbers here lately. And so he can be a productive player in either one of those situations.
Is there any truth to the rumor that I completely just made up in my mind right now that the Cavs are going to sign Lance Stevenson just to trade him for Carmelo Anthony, a Lance for Carmelo 1-for-1 trade, bringing Lance home to New York City while putting Melo on a contender? Is there any truth to that?
No, you did make that up in your own head.
Okay. I don't know if you've noticed, and it's getting kind of boring at this point, the Warriors are an excellent basketball team. They're just an excellent basketball team. They waxed the Clippers, and then without Steph Curry, who had a stomach illness, I think he was resting, they went up to Portland and beat them on Sunday night. Steph has been playing excellent lately, and a lot of this is reportedly due to a conversation that him and Kevin Durant had. Here's what Durant had to say, quote, "I just said to him, don't worry about me. I said, just play your game. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out around you. You're the engine of this team, and I know that. I'm not trying to come over and feel like everything just revolves around me. Just do you, man." Is there any truth to this being a pivot point for Steph Curry's success, or is this all just coincidence?
I think it's a pivot point because it's unique to have two guys that have won MVP on the same team, both under age 30. It's never happened in the league. No. And so there is going to be a process to iron out how both players can continue to be effective. And they play with two other All-Stars in Klay Thompson and Draymond Green. But the unique thing about their team is they pass the basketball and they shoot with range and they're accurate. So when they have it going, they're going to get fed. When they don't, they can find somebody else that can get going, which is why you've seen KD, Draymond, Clay, and now Steph all have explosive evenings because they figured it out. And it's scary for the rest of the league.
Jalen, we're 5 days away from the Super Bowl. 5 days are going to be filled with over-analyzed Super Bowl headlines and storylines that mean nothing. So you're going to help guide us through all of this noise. I'm going to tell you a storyline in regards to Super Bowl 51. You're going to simply answer if it's something or nothing and explain why. Are you ready, Mr. Rose?
Let's get it.
Matt Ryan seeks Super Bowl advice from Peyton and Eli Manning. Something or nothing?
Something.
Ooh.
Both Eli and Peyton have been what's considered rivals of Tom Brady, plus they've won a combined 4 Super Bowls. So any knowledge, experience, or wisdom he can gain from one of those gentlemen, if not both, can and will be valuable.
Eli Manning is 100% when facing Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. 2 for 2. Tom Brady's dad ethered Roger Goodell on the radio. Something or nothing?
It's something if Tom Brady now has to sit in front of microphones and be asked about it.
Fair. Bill Belichick held a press conference today, did not wear a hoodie, wore a button-up. Something or nothing?
Something. He's selling out. Come on, Bill.
Wear the hoodie. And not only that, is I happened to watch this. He had the button-up on, a pink button-up that was like 7 sizes too big. And a too big button-up just looks ridiculous, right? It just looks silly. And not only that, he had this button unbuttoned, the second button unbuttoned on the button-up shirt. Does any man look better with the second button unbuttoned on the button-up shirt?
Not at all, especially when he think he's exposing his chest hair when it's taco meat.
It just doesn't look right. It does on Bill Belichick. I could see it being pulled off by like Brad Pitt in Ocean's 11 with a nice cut suit on or something, but like Bill Belichick is not working. Would he look more put together in a hoodie than he did this ridiculous shirt?
Yes, because we're used to that. It's almost like seeing you on this program with a blazer, shirt, and tie, and me without a bat.
Over 45,000 people have signed a petition to replace Lady Gaga as the halftime performer. Here's the quote on that petition. Quote, Migos killing Bad and Bougie, Future kills him with March Madness, then Outkast comes out and does a Quemini sampler, and they end it with Bun B and Jay-Z doing Big Pimpin'. 45,000 people have signed on with this. Something or nothing?
It's nothing because, unfortunately, they're not writing the check. The NFL is. Yep. And those corporate sponsors will dictate who's performing at halftime.
So you're telling me that Bill Belichick wearing a button-up is something, but 45,000 people trying to replace Lady Gaga is nothing. You're saying nothing on that.
I agree with them. I could be 45,001, but nobody's going to listen to us.
Oh, come on. See, the power to the people, Mr. Rose. Join the resistance. Will you actually sign this petition? If I Google it and send you the link.
Nah.
I didn't think so. Even if I Google it and text you the link, all I have to do is click on it.
Sure.
On. All right.
If it's easy, I will. Yeah.
I'm going to do that during the break. I'll do it during the break.
Yeah.
We'll see if you actually sign the petition. This is
Are you going to sign it?
Of course. Kyle Shanahan lost his backpack with the Super Bowl plans on the inside.
What?
Or was it stolen? Something or nothing?
It's nothing because a media member allegedly had a bag that looked similar to his, picked it up, walked off with it, probably was gone like 30 minutes and returned it to him. That would not be enough time to crack any security codes on any tablets or computers that he may have that contain information to what the Atlanta Falcons may be doing this Sunday in the Super Bowl.
So when this gentleman opens up the bag and realizes what he has inside of it, is he excited or is he terrified?
He's terrified because he's like, where's my bag?
I'd be terrified. Yeah, he's like, I got
Where's
my
my
computer.
bag?
He's like, he's not worried about the game plans for the Super Bowl. He's worried about his computer in someone else's hands. Who knows what's on that computer?
He's there for work.
Yeah, he's like, I don't want anyone to see my internet history. I don't want anyone to see those photos. He's not even worried about the Super Bowl game plan that he stole from Kyle Shanahan. He's worried about getting his personal stuff back from his hard drive. And you know what? I'm with you, brother. I totally understand. I would just be terrified because I would feel like someone think I took this on purpose. I'm going to hand it back myself. How would you go about giving it back?
Well, it's unique when the Patriots are involved because Spygate and Deflategate did happen. So the first thing you're thinking, like, somebody from the Patriots got them to steal my bag.
This one really draws the line between something or nothing. In Houston, Gucci Mane will be hosting Michael Vick's retirement party. What? Something or nothing.
That's something. Vick was electrifying when he first got into the league, set it by storm, not only with his ability to throw, but uniquely with his ability to run. He was a firestorm in Atlanta. He drew and garnered a lot of excitement and attention. They made it to the NFC Championship, and then he got into his issues as it related to dogfighting. He did his time, resurrected himself, got back into the NFL, which is almost impossible to do after spending time behind bars, and actually played a few more years. So for him to actually be able to pick his ending versus the other way around is really impressive. Something.
When you actually retire, who's going to be hosting your retirement party?
Big Sean and Royce the 5'9".
Do you think as every year goes by that party's going to get smaller and smaller? Like if I got an invite for your retirement party, I'd be like, what? Like, what do you think? This is the 10-year anniversary of his retirement party? Finally, here's Tom Brady speaking about his wife, supermodel Gisele Bündchen. Quote, "She gave me this necklace for protection. And she'd be really happy that I'm wearing it because she doesn't like anyone hitting me. She always says, quote, throw the ball really fast. So that's what I try to do." Gisele Bündchen, in Tom Brady's head, changing his strategy of how he plays his position during the Super Bowl. Something or nothing?
I'm definitely going to say something,
yes.
But I also want to reverse this to my brother who's happily married. How do you feel about this? Something or nothing?
Well, my wife basically, when I do my job, she's also in my head, but she's like, just don't talk about me. Just don't talk about me. Whatever you talk about, just don't talk about me. So, we're going to end this segment. Just in a quick summary, everything is something except for the fact that there's 45,000 people that don't want Lady Gaga to perform. So that's the only thing that you said nothing was about the halftime performance. I'm so disappointed in you. I'm so disappointed in myself. And I'm so disappointed on behalf of the audience. And I just want to send a message to my wife. See, I didn't talk about you. Nope. Rex Ryan is talking. And he's saying that he will not be a defensive coordinator. He's not interested in those positions. He wants to be a head coach. And do you know what that leads to? That leads to Rex Ryan finally being in the position in and around the NFL, which he was born to be in. This may be the year that we finally get Rex Ryan, the broadcaster. Rex Ryan, the analyst. Rex Ryan, the color man. Rex Ryan, the studio analyst. Rex Ryan, exactly where he should be. So here's the question. Assuming Rex Ryan is in media this year, will he ever go back, or will he just straight up John Gruden out and enjoy his career in broadcasting?
A lot of times people are only faithful as their options. And you clearly aren't following the news cycle at the company that you work for because he's already been slated to work for the worldwide leader during Super Bowl week.
What? Okay, Jalen, first of all, you know I read the entire internet every morning. You know I do the entire rundown for the show. You know I know every detail of everything that is happening in sports and pop culture to an embarrassing level. Working for us for 5 days is not a career in broadcasting. Okay, Mr. Rose? Please listen carefully next time. Also,
planting the seed to create the harvest.
Can we have Rex Ryan join us as the third member of Jalen and Jacoby for the entire football season? Would you be open to that?
No, but I meant to reach out to this gentleman that I would love to have on the show. Maybe I'll still do it because we got a couple of days left in the week. Not Rex Ryan, but Bill Parcells. That's who I want on the show.
Bill Parcells on the show? You want Bill Parcells on the show? Calling guest? Okay. Victor Cruz was asked about the Miami boat trip. You'll never believe this, but here's what he had to say. Quote, looking back on it, it definitely wasn't worth it. At the end of the day, you want to put your mind in a place where you want to succeed at whatever your next task is, especially in a football setting and a football atmosphere. What is he really saying?
He's saying it was a bad decision to fly to the fun in Miami, hang out Sunday night, wake up on a yacht with the same clothes from the night before on Monday, post a picture, then go to Green Bay where it's the middle of winter, make a mockery of what you just did and what was discussed all week that became a distraction for each individual plus their team, hit the field with their cell phones, take pictures and videos of themselves with their shirts off to let us know we're not fazed. We're going to go out there and ball. And then you know what happened during the game? They dropped passes.
Lots of passes.
And all of a sudden they lost the football game. And hindsight is always 20/20, but you realize, especially being a vet like Victor, these chances don't come often, and maybe we cost ourselves one by not completely focusing on football in a football atmosphere the week of a playoff game all week. So for anybody, especially in the media, that defended it, I'm going to say what I said before. I pay attention to the apology and or if somebody would do something again if they don't apologize. And I said on this program, after they did it, 1, 2, definitely after they lost, that won't be happening again. Whether they apologize or not.
Does he regret that he went to Miami, or does he regret that they photoed themselves and were caught on social media going to Miami?
Both.
I think it's more the latter. I think that he's not mad at the trip during the off day. He's mad at the distraction that the trip caused by being exposed on social media. You know Tom Brady's diet, right? He's got this alkaline diet where he makes sure that everything he eats is pH balanced, so it could pH balance your blood for optimal performance. And one thing I just want to say is I've only really heard pH balance when it relates to shampoo. That's kind of like the only time in my life when pH balance comes up until the last 2 years when everyone talks about alkaline water and this and that. However, there are some scientists that poke some holes in Mr. Brady's diet, that perhaps Mr. Brady's diet is all just a bunch of, and I'll say it again for the second time in the podcast, hoo-nanny.
What?
Spell it.
Honanny. Is Tom Brady's diet hoo-nanny? I don't even know what hoo-nanny means. I've never said the word hoo-nanny until today.
So you mean a public figure said something on wax that he's not actually doing off wax? No.
What I'm saying is Tom Brady's diet is being ridiculed by actual doctors and scientists as perhaps just a bunch of BS. Do you think Tom Brady's diet actually helps him perform better at the game of football?
Obviously it does. Whatever he's doing, people should probably copy. And also, he released a book about his diet and the things that he likes to eat as well.
Apparently the term is hootenanny, and it means an informal gathering with folk music and sometimes dancing.
So you mean Jacoby used the word in the wrong context?
No. Apparently I've been using that very, very wrong today.
What?
I apologize to everyone listening to this program. I would never use a word wrong like that, ever. Neither would Jalen Rose. Ronda Rousey. Dana White, do you ever consider if Ronda Rousey? Here's what Mr. White, the leader of the UFC, one of the chief decision makers on what happens and what doesn't happen in that sport. About Rousey's career, he said, quote, I think she's probably done. She's going to ride off into the sunset and start living her life outside of fighting. Are you surprised to hear this from Dana White?
I'm not surprised. Her 2 recent losses were brutal, gruesome, ugly, and she's shown that she has potential outside of the octagon. Why not pursue it while you still have a lot of your faculties remaining?
What sort of potential has she shown outside the octagon?
I saw her in a couple of movies.
She's been in a movie or two or here or there, but don't you feel like it was a symbiotic relationship between her athletic performance that led to her sort of entertainment performance, that once you lose one of those things, the other might not be so lucrative or available to you? Why do you have that look on your face, Mr. Rose? For some reason, I just really disappointed Mr. Rose and made him upset.
Because that's normally how it works. You perform at your sport or your trade, and then opportunities come. That don't mean you have to play and perform forever.
Ronda Rousey made a lot of money getting her butt kicked by Amanda Nunes. America loves a comeback story. At the height of her abilities, at the height of her success in the UFC, it was literally a question of, can anyone even step into the octagon with her that will be a good fight? If you remember how quickly she knocked people out, I remember paying $60 for about 35 seconds once or twice. And how can she go from these heights, 2 losses later, to be effectively retired?
That's what happens to 98% of athletes. You don't pick your ending. You don't choose when you retire. If that was the case, wouldn't it have been nice if Michael Jordan would have crossed over against Utah, made the jump shot to win the finals made the jump shot to win the finals? But no, he ended up playing for the Wizards. Even he played on. Then you have other athletes like Peyton Manning. While he wasn't putting up big numbers, they still won a Super Bowl in his final year, and he walked off into the sunset. That doesn't happen for the rest of us. The sport retires you, and especially if you're a fighter. And her last couple of losses were brutal. So I am not surprised. She knocked out in the first round. Like, it was ugly. So get out of there when you can.
As she gets out of here and she wants to explore all these entertainment opportunities, whether she wants to be an actor or whether she wants to just sort of be a recluse and a wife and mother and stay out of the public eye, whatever she wants to do, don't you think over time, as those other opportunities just become smaller and smaller, as does the bank account because she hasn't been fighting anymore, becomes smaller and smaller, do you think she could be dragged out of retirement for the potential of a comeback?
In her case, the options are going to continue to present themselves to fight again. But when I saw her going to her last fight and she wasn't talking to the media all week, she was pretty stoic. That was against the character that she built as a fighter. So I actually thought she would lose that fight. So when it did happen, for me as an athlete, it tells you that you're done. And so even if she accepts a fight, it probably won't just be because of the love. It'll be because of some of the things you just described.
I didn't really want to talk about this because we're entering this zone with this one topic where it's like, you know what, it's kind of like Johnny Manziel-ish. It's like, listen, there's always an update every single day. Like, someone let me know when it's real. And I'm talking about the Floyd Mayweather-Conor McGregor potential fight. Floyd's been back on wax saying he wants to do it. Conor says he wants to do it. It would be worth so much money that one would think that there is a way to make this work for everybody. Do you think, Jalen Rose, that this fight will ever happen?
It won't happen because Floyd's going to make sure that he gets top dollar, $100 million, if he's going to step into the ring for a 50th time and take any risk. The second part of that is, of course Floyd want to fight Conor McGregor. He's going to knock him out in the second or third round.
Should we stop discussing this potential fight until it is announced?
No, it's news.
That's the thing, and they're
You're
so
talking about the champ?
They're both so interesting that they will continue to keep this spectacle interesting even if they never, ever get into the ring.
I'll text the champ right now and see what he's thinking.
Okay. How many phones do you think he has?
More than one.
I think he's probably got like seven. 7 phones. There was a survey about the NFL. There were some very interesting results. I'd like to have you just sort of guess at some of them. One of the questions, do you have a favorable or unfavorable opinion of Bill Belichick? What percent do you think have a favorable opinion of Bill Belichick?
65%.
40% have a favorable, 34% unfavorable, and 26% not sure. Bit of a cop-out answer there. So there's a not sure answer for all of these. Do you approve or disapprove of the job Roger Goodell is doing as commissioner of the NFL? I will tell you, 31% are not sure. So of the remaining 69%, what percent do you think approves or disapproves?
55% disapprove.
42% disapprove and 26% approve. So there are 1 out of 4 NFL fans approves of the job that Roger Goodell has done. Do you find that to be a high or a low number?
No, it sounds like he could be president.
Fair. I deserve that for asking the question. Do you have a favorable or unfavorable opinion of Tom Brady? What percent of football fans do you think have a favorable opinion of Tom Brady?
Oh, 99.9.
Mr. Rose? Why would you say that?
Because that's what it should be.
Okay. 46% of football fans have a favorable opinion of Tom Brady. This one blows me away. I'm just going to give you the answer right now. I'll tell you that I am shocked by this. 69% of football fans do not think the Redskins should change their name. Does that surprise you?
I disagree. It does surprise me.
It shocks me.
But I'm not shocked by it
I'm
because,
shocked.
Unfortunately, people aren't offended by things that are against their beliefs.
Here's what shocks me about that. Just like Chief Wahoo on the Indians uniform and this deplorable name as the mascot for the Washington football franchise, these two things will change because common sense and humanity will eventually succeed. I just don't understand why people have this attitude about it now. That is why I'm so surprised. It seems so plain to me that this is wrong. I am just shocked that 69% of the people do not think the Washington football team should change their mascot from an obviously racist name. Jalen Rose, Le'Veon Bell released a diss track about Skip Bayless. Here's a sample.
Yeah, not back to you hating. I don't care what you saying. All these beats I be slaying. I think I'm hotter than Satan. I don't know why you playing. My music only turning up like I done went Super Saiyan. All this money is raining. I can't stop it from raining. These dollars running they mouth. So I'm rapping like Shady. I don't need me a savings.
Okay. So Jalen, here's my question. Is this a worse look for Skip Bayless or Le'Veon Bell?
I didn't hear him say anything negative about him. I know the song is called Shrimp Bayless, but I didn't hear him allude to anything, but you didn't play the entire song. I guess I got to hear it on my own.
There's a reason we didn't play the entire song.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Athletes now with social media, and we've seen this in our previous election even. And it's tricky because the media's job is to represent the fourth estate. If you start to chip at that and start to strip it away, that now becomes a unique place for all of us. Le'Veon didn't just start rapping because of Skip. So if I had to choose who is the worst look for, I would probably say Bayless.
Now, Jalen, this is why I love doing that show with you, because that was an intelligent, reasonable response that didn't just deal with this issue, but dealt with a much bigger issue that's happening in our society. And I commend you for having such an insightful response to this topic, because my response is pretty much the exact opposite. What I want to do is spend all of our time on Jalen and Jacoby dissing Dame Lillard until he makes a track about us.
You're such a troll.
We're on in the middle of the night. You know what I mean? Like, we need a bigger platform. And what way to do it than have Dame Lillard make a track about us? Dame Lillard, you are the worst point guard in the NBA. I don't know. The Portland's falling apart. It's all your fault. Please make a diss track about me. Please. Please diss
me. A couple of things.
I'll write it
You're
for
going
you.
about it all wrong.
Why's that?
How about I just pick up the phone and reach out to him and possibly ask him to do an intro or to do a verse for the show? We don't have to troll him and be negative.
Jalen,
and as a matter of fact,
negativity gets headlines.
As a matter of fact, Dame just sent me some cold Adidas, and they came in a crate like back in the day where you used to go to parties and carry albums.
What?
It's dope. I got to bring it into the studio when I get back.
Yep.
Are you an employee of the Disney company?
Yes.
You know that we're not allowed to accept gifts over $75 in value, correct?
What? Get jammed up, won't mention my name.
Now I do.
Let's move on. There's a study. Now, for those of you that listen to this show, you know when I start with there's a study, it's about to be followed up by some complete hoonanny. A scientist named Albert E. Manns, who just so happened to be bald himself, conducted a study in 2012 with 59 subjects. Do you know what they found out from this study?
No, what's that?
They looked at a man with a head of full hair and the same man who was bald and asked their opinions of them. The subjects reported that they thought the bald men were more dominant, bigger, and stronger.
What?
Why doesn't LeBron James just go bald? To shave it off.
Yep.
Does he want to be perceived as dominant, big, and strong? He's losing the battle up here. That's not dominant. That's not big. That's not strong. Just go bald. Knowing this, are you ready to take out the bick and shave off all your hair?
Not at all. I don't have to be dominant, big, and strong to do my job.
That's fair. Do you believe that this study is factual?
No.
When I found out that the guy running the study was bald himself, and then when I read that it was 2012, I was like, come on, man. He probably spent 4 years finding people that have that opinion.
And also, he probably just went to the gym and went up to people that were already bald, that were in shape, that were working out.
Exactly. Jimmer Fredette is having himself a Stephon Marbury moment. He is a sensation in Shanghai. He averages, and you won't believe this, he averages 37 points a game, Jalen. 37 points a game in Shanghai.
What?
Now, there's a little bit of translation with the way that people say his name. They say his name Gmo because they don't know how, or they don't use the word Jimmy. It has been brought to his attention that as they chant Gmo, Gmo, Gmo towards him, that Gmo actually means lonely. And that made him sad. And then his translator told him that they're not chanting lonely, they're actually chanting something more like loneliness master or loneliness god. Is Jimmer Fredette's translator telling the truth?
No. I think
not.
the initial definition is what it is. I don't think they're going to change a word in their language because he's averaging 37 points playing basketball. However, I do give him props because for those 450 players that aren't in the NBA, it still means something to get paid to play basketball. Keep getting them checks, Jimmer.
And also, look, I don't care what league you're doing it in. If you're averaging 37 points, you're getting buckets. I don't care who you're playing. I don't care if you're at the YMCA or if you're at the NBA. If you're averaging 37 points a game, you are performing. And something tells me that this is not the last that we have seen him in an NBA jersey. Could you see him being picked up by a team?
I don't think so.
No.
I think it's been tried and true that while a productive guard doesn't have what it takes to be a point guard, especially on the defensive end and running the team, but definitely too small to play a shooting guard spot. So, no.
If you were his translator and he was like, hey, what does Gmo mean? And you were like, lonely, and then you saw him get real sad, would you make something up like, oh, no. It means loneliness god. It means loneliness master. Would you make something up too?
I would do exactly what he did because he's, like
too.
you said, he's over there getting buckets.
Oliver Martin, a highly touted wide receiver, college football recruit, has signed with the Michigan Wolverines. To celebrate, Jim Harbaugh, in his traditional garb, jumped into a pool fully clothed. Is Jim Harbaugh taking this too far?
If he had a cell phone in his pocket, that would be too far. If he had his wallet in his pocket, that would be okay. I would think that he's smart enough to tell himself, if he signs, I'm going to jump into this pool knowing he didn't have anything electronic in his pocket.
Does he jump into that pool knowing that people will take that video and talk about it on sports blogs and in stupid sports shows like this one?
You know where I went to college, right?
Michigan University?
Okay. Jim Harbaugh's doing an amazing job of turning around our program real quickly. And as we continue to get blue chippers consistently signed to play football there, don't be surprised if we at the BCS championship watching my Amazing Blue perform next year.
Says the man who told us to buy tickets to go to this year's FBS championship because the Michigan Wolverines were going to be there. What? This is our new favorite segment. This is when we get to listen to the people because on this show we... If you call 895-80-JALEN, you can leave us voicemails. Females, make sure you call 895-80-JALEN. As always, Women Crush Wednesday is tomorrow. Leave those voicemails tonight. We'll put them on the show tomorrow. Let's listen to today's first voicemail.
What it is, y'all, this is Lerone calling from Portland, Oregon. First of all, Jacoby, what you know about the Toyota Sienna minivan. It is a man's minivan, period. Second of all, this question is for Jalen, and it's a serious question. What would you rather do? Let Jacoby edge you up, and for all the people who don't speak black, edge you up means do your hairline, line up your headline. Or would you rather go 30 seconds in a boxing ring with a kangaroo?
First of all, I love you, Lerone. You don't know this, but you're now my 35th best friend on the West Coast. Because you obviously listen to the show. Number one, as much as I love you, Lerone, I am disrespected when you ask me a question like, what do I know about the Toyota Sienna? First of all, if you think that I have not researched every single make and model of every single minivan, I've driven the Sienna, I've driven the Ciara, I've driven the stupid Kia one, the Sorrento, I've driven every minivan. And Lerone, let me tell you, the Sienna is an excellent minivan. It's no Odyssey, but it's an excellent minivan. It's no Pacifica, but it's an excellent minivan. And Lerone, here's the thing. I got the minivan that I got the best price on, dog. You know, you know what? As much as I talk about how much I love the town and country or whatever, that's the one I got the best deal on. You know, so that's what happened, Lerone. As much as I love my town and country, I also respect Sienna drivers. Now, Jalen, he had an interesting proposal for you that you probably forgot by now.
I would rather be in the ring for 30 seconds with a kangaroo than let Jacoby edge me up. Because you can dance and run in the ring for 30 seconds, I hope. But once you mess up somebody's edge up, man, it take me, and I just had a birthday, it might take a year for it to get back right.
I can't. The thing is,
Jacoby had to stop cutting his own hair 100% of the time.
I feel personally disrespected. You know what I mean? Because anytime we have a kangaroo story, and I have a theory that kangaroos, they're starting a revolution against the human species, which they will eventually win, and this will be the planet of the kangaroos, and that's fine. What? Every time we show one of those videos, you freak out. You look at it and you go, oh no, But you would rather fight a kangaroo in the ring than have me edge you up. Thank you, Lerone, for also explaining what edge me up means for me and my fellow Caucasian listeners. Let's listen to the next voicemail.
What's going on, guys? This is Travis from the Carolinas again. I was trying to ask a question. I'd like both of y'all to answer. When will this trend of small ball stop? It's getting a little ridiculous, fellas. I'd just like to have an answer.
Oh, I got you. If he wants both of us to answer, I'm going to start here. Joel Embiid, Rudy Gobert, Boogie Cousins, Jokic, probably some people I forget. Young, exciting, big men over 7 feet. They can't shoot.
Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Davis, Andre Drummond, Hassan Whiteside. When the big men in the league are punishing smaller players. Look at the Eastern Conference All-Star team. There isn't a center on the squad.
Nope. It's just like everything else. It comes in waves. It comes in phases. It comes in trends. It comes in fashion. I mean, it's just like everything else.
Marc Gasol.
So it will happen. We'll just see. But it will be led by the rosters. When these players mature and start dominating, you'll see a lot more big lineups. Thank you so much for calling again from the Carolinas. Let's listen to the next voicemail.
Yo, what up, guys? My name is Garrett, the 210 San Antonio. Coach Bros, go. My question is for Jalen. We all know that Jacoby's statue is him with the finger up in the sky after Family Feud. Mr. Jalen Rose, if there was a statue commemorated in your honor, what would you want it to be?
Wow, what a tough question. I can honestly say that's something I never thought about because I know I'll never have a statue.
You can buy a statue.
But the one thing about life is you have to be able to make fun of yourself, and you have to be able to endure pain but persevere. That's what builds character.
I love what you're doing.
I wouldn't mind guarding Kobe Bryant on his.
For real. And you know Kobe's statue is going to be huge because Shaq's statue's already big. And you know Kobe's looking at it being like, I need to be bigger than that statue. Yep. Kobe's statue, you know, they just built I'm here in downtown Los Angeles. They just built the tallest building in Los Angeles, but they haven't seen the plans for Kobe's statue yet. So let's be honest, let's be real.
Could be suspended from air, and the guy that's guarding him can have Rose number 5 on the back.
Why not?
That's the closest I'm going to get.
Why not? Thank you for the call. Let's listen to the next voicemail. If you call 985-80-JALEN, you can leave us a message. We'll put it on the show. Females tomorrow, as every Wednesday, will be Woman Crush Wednesday. Make sure you call 985-80-JALEN. We'll have all female voicemails tomorrow.
Jalen and Jacoby, this is Robert. I'm calling back in. I got to give a shout-out to Jacoby. He's a man of his word. I called in a couple weeks back, told the story about my boy Jay. Jacoby did follow him, but I have a question. Jacoby, where's my follow at? Keep giving the people what they want.
First of all, first time in Jalen and Jacoby history, 2 obviously back-to-back Caucasian callers. Excited about that. I promise I'll stop.
First off, hold on, hit the brakes, hit the brakes before you hit the brakes. How you just going to assume that? The people that support this fine program for 5 years come from various backgrounds.
That's a great point.
Races, ethnicities.
Sometimes I forget that race doesn't exist, Jalen. No. Sometimes I forget. My bad.
And for all you know, here's the other thing. You could be wrong about those 2.
Could I?
Nah, you're right.
Okay. Okay. But I do apologize. I forgot. Race doesn't exist. Anyway. I also want to apologize to Robert. I completely forgot that I followed this dude. I don't know if you sent it to me and told me I should. If I did, perhaps it was on accident. But you know what, Robert? You tweet at me, I'll follow you. I don't know why people act like following somebody is so important. You know what I mean? Like it's like, why not? Why not? I want to hear what you have to say about lunch. Who cares? Big shout out to you, Robert. Thanks for calling back, man. At Jalen and Jacoby, you tweet us any question, any comment, any feedback we put on the show. It is as simple as that. It's important to us because we have a motto on this show. First question that we have from Taylor Jansen. Do the Pistons need to trade Reggie Jackson to be successful?
No. But when you're a team that doesn't have a current all-star this year, and you're trying to compete against the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Boston Celtics, the Toronto Raptors in your same conference, you have to consider all options. And if I was looking at their roster, other than Andre Drummond probably, if people are calling to talk to you about the other 14 players and you think the deal is right, you're going to listen and pull the trigger if you can. That's just how professional sports work. It's not personal.
Next question that we have is from David. He wants to know, what did both of you major in at college?
Radio, TV, film.
Brilliant. You are
I'm fortunate enough to be one of the few people in our country that actually, and this has always been head-scratching to me, has a career in his major.
Yeah, I tell people in college, I'm like, don't worry about your major. It really has no real bearing on the rest of your life. I was all set to major in hotel and restaurant management, and I started to sign up for classes in that vein. They were all at 9 in the morning and 8 in the morning, so I switched. I went to business school, and I majored in marketing and management. Obviously using that very hard every day. The next question that we have is from Leon. I'm sorry, Leon. Will Jalen ever become an NBA general manager? And then he had a little compliment. He definitely has the chops. Will you ever become an NBA general manager?
Thank you kindly. One of my goals and or dreams is to be able to put my fingertips on a roster that ultimately wins an NBA championship.
Okay. Do you think that you will ever be an NBA general manager?
I don't know. Stay tuned.
Great answer. Sometimes the smartest answer you can give to a question. Remember this, everybody. I don't know. Eric wants to know, will you guys be tuning into the Puppy Bowl this weekend? I didn't know that it was coming on TV this weekend. What?
You said the Puppy Bowl?
Yeah, the Puppy Bowl is on. Okay. The Puppy Bowl is an event. It is a football game that is played between puppies. It happens every year with the Super Bowl. I believe halftime. I think you even have to pay for it. You have to pay-per-view event at halftime. It might be airing on a network at this point, but I will not be tuning into the Puppy Bowl because let me tell you something. The Puppy Bowl is whack. The Puppy Bowl is so boring. Those puppies don't even run plays. They don't even know how to play football. They're dumb. They're just puppies. They're just cute. Once you've seen the Puppy Bowl for 45 seconds, it all just wears off on you. You've seen a couple of puppies, you've seen them all. Forget the Puppy Bowl. I'm out.
If you have some spare time, since we representing the Boston area this weekend, instead of watching the Puppy Bowl, why don't you watch the New Edition story?
I'd look forward to watching the New Edition story. Me and my wife have earmarked that as something that we're going to binge watch this week. But first, we have to finish The Bachelor. Did you watch The Bachelor?
Absolutely not.
You didn't see what happened between Corinne and Taylor? You didn't see any of that? You didn't see the haunted house date? The one-on-one date with Rachel? The budding interracial relationship between Rachel and Nick? No? Jalen fell asleep. All right. Question for you from Guap. Gavin Owens wants to know, why is it frowned upon in the sports world for a professional athlete to have a rapping career? Why is there this stigma that whenever a professional athlete comes out with a song or an album or dips their toes in the music industry that they get kind of laughed at? Why is there that? Good question.
It's actually not true. Now more than ever, athletes are allowed to pursue endeavors that they're passionate about, that are fun to them, and that they're good at. What usually has happened for basketball players when they put out different music and or try different endeavors, sometimes it has a various degrees of success. But I've seen multiple people have success in that genre that were athletes.
I think that there is a history of athletes being bad musicians that has stigmatized the endeavors of athletes trying to be musicians. But there's some good tracks out there, namely RZA and Shaq. We don't need no hooks.
Namely Rebound, Go Get It, the late great Wayman Tisdale. That's the best album of an athlete, in particular in the NBA, that I know about.
The birthday boy wants to know, I think this is for me, why minivan over a big truck? Well, I'll tell you. You can put car seats in a minivan. You cannot put car seats in the back of a pickup truck. That is frowned upon. The police will pull you over immediately. Your kids will be freezing cold. It just seems dangerous. I've got so many children. They need to be covered by the top of the car. I believe he's also...
Did they say a big truck or a pickup truck?
I think he meant big truck. He probably means like an Escalade or a Navigator. Here's the thing.
Yes.
Those are built for adults to be comfortable in the back seat. Minivans are built for children. You know, I've stowaway seating in the town and country that makes it very easy to load my millions of children into the car. Next question we have is from Jan Michael Vincent. Now, there's more of a story to this than you would think. Question is, how tall is Jacoby? Jalen, how tall is Jacoby?
What are you, like 6'2" or 3"?
My entire life, I thought I was just a hair under 6'2". Literally about 18 months ago, no, 1 year ago, I went to the doctor because I had really bad eye allergies. Do you remember when I had really bad eye allergies? I wouldn't stop talking about my eyes. When you have really bad eye allergies, there's nothing else you can think about. And I'm sure I annoyed all of my friends and family for that stretch of time. And when I went
thought
there,
it had something to do with cataracts.
Nope. And when I went there, they took my height and weight, and not only was I much heavier than I expected to be, they said I was 6'3" 3/4. And I said, that's not right. Do that again, because I really think I'm just a hair under 6'2". She did it again, and then she did it on a different height measuring machine just to double down. Without shoes, I am 6'3" 3/4. I went my entire life not knowing how tall I was until a year ago. Actually, that story wasn't that good. I apologize. Next tweet we get is from Jimmy. The 8th grader in LeBron? Yes! Like, can we just walk down this hypothetical highway for a second, Mr. Rose? Like, just indulge me for a second. Now, while I have officially broken up with Lance as my favorite player in the NBA, and then I picked up Mitch McGary as my favorite player in the NBA, and then Mitch McGary medicinaled himself out of the NBA, I am at a bit of a loss, okay? Could you see LeBron James calling Griffin and saying, listen, Lance is the guy. Lance is the guy that we need. Is there any possibility that Lance Stevenson will play on this year's Cavaliers?
Lance had an injury that he was dealing with, which led to the Pelicans actually releasing him. He was productive for that team. At times before Holiday and a few players returned from injury, he seemed like the second most productive player on certain nights. So I still think he has NBA talent, and he possibly could land with the Cavaliers. But I got something for you, though.
Oh, what's that?
You can't. Where's Eric Sermon, Reg? Where's Eric Sermon?
Get off the bandwagon.
Did you say you broke up with Lance?
Oh, I definitely broke up with Lance, yeah.
So I bet not. I bet not see you acting like, oh, there's the 8th grader. There's Born Ready. He's running with LeBron. He's about to get a ring. I'm about to get a jersey. Don't do it.
Do you think that I'm like that?
Please
do you think
that
I'm a fair weather fan? Do you think that I'm that duplicitous? Do you think
would
that
you
I
be that
would
easy?
Jump on someone when they're hot and then dump them when they're not? Do you think I'm that kind of person, Mr. Rose? Do you think I'm that kind of person?
Die easy, yes.
I'm exactly that kind of person. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for listening on ESPN Radio, for watching on ESPN2 and ESPN News, and subscribing to the Jalen and Jacoby podcast.
You're far too kind.